you know, some people say to me, why am I exposing the risks of using a water-fed pole when I manufacture water-fed poles? And the answer is because it's safer than a ladder.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
The question is, can we make it more safe? Like, we shouldn't go, oh, it's safer than a ladder, therefore it's okay. If it's potentially injurious, then we have a responsibility to try and solve that, which is what you and I are working together on, yeah? And that's what we do. Agitate the dirt into the solution, into the water, and then we rinse it. Now, some of the developments that are coming out in the industry now are rinse bars, so that we put the rinse bar above the bristle, and then the last thing to hit the glass is the pure water, in which case we may never need to take the brush off the glass. Some of the guys who do very regular cleaning, they call them, you know, like fortnightly or monthly cleaning, then they can do that because they're not really washing off so much dirt. But if you see windows as dirty as this, you know, you leave the brush on the glass, the bristles have got the dirt.
Right.
So as a rule, we'll lift the brush off the glass.
So now you're hovering. So now you're hovering. Well, that's a lot of control muscles there. Okay, so you're hovering the brush right above the glass, and you're doing a lateral movement.
A lateral movement.
Lateral
like
movements.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, and just chase the dirty water off the glass.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
again, I use my sort of thighs, or I don't know what muscle that is.
Right.
I use that as a centering thing so that I can actually just, you know, work that motion.
Right.
You know, easily. And we know, like, really I shouldn't be at this angle because I'm leveraging it. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
right.
counterbalancing it.
But that's...
I should come in here, in theory, shorten the pole off and under to make the pole feel lighter. So I'm not counterbalancing it, but...
So you're saying with a heavy pole...
If it was heavy or if it's floppy, then again you want to just try and control the motion more.
Right.
So if you're counterbalancing it, then you've got more...
Right, I see.
flex.
Okay, so the closer you are to the building...
Get close, you can just kind of... And at least go like this.
And you don't do that, why?
Because I want to go faster. I don't want to take the time to come in here and move back out there.
Okay, right.
But if I had an injury or something, then I should...
Move in closer, of course.
And if I knew that potentially I'm going to get an injury,
you
I
should
might.
do this always. Yeah,
in other words,
exactly.
In other words, you know, at my own peril, I counterbalance.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But you look at it like this, so I could do that all day long, right?
Right.
Keeping it, the more upright it is.
Yeah.
So, but what are the risks of doing this?
Well, that's a shorter motion, so it's better than, and your arms are closer to your body, so those are good things.
Elbows are locked in.
Elbows are in, so those are good things.
Right.
Now your neck is completely extended. You've ran out of range of motion with your neck.
Yeah.
That's as bad as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean you have absolutely no extension
I can't
left.
go back any further.
Yeah,
and I'm only at 1.5 stories. I'm not.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you can't do that for a long period of time. I mean, that's kill you. Yeah. Your hands are still, your forearms are still rotated to the center of your body, which means your rotator cuffs are working.
Right.
So the rotator cuff muscles are being used now to rotate the humerus medially. So the arms are rotated toward the center of the body, and that's because you're on a linear pole. I mean, there's no way you can help that.
I'm wound in.
Yeah. You're wound in. Yeah, toward this midline. That does stress the rotator cuff of the shoulders. A more physiologic position would be with the arms, you know, more forward. But
so if I was here, this one.
Yeah,
would be
well, this one would be wonderful, but this would be terrible.
Yeah.
So it's a little, you know,
if I'm here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay,
so it's a linear pole, unfortunately. Yeah.
So you just center it. And
you center it as best you can
do.
and do what you have to do. Yeah.
And guys, you saw on the survey, because we got the window cleaner survey for working with injuries with water-fed poles, and a couple of the guys have talked about what they call them, tension headaches or something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Understandable?
Yeah, understandable. The neck muscles, the strap muscles, the traps, the sternocleidomastoids, you're just stressing everything there with that position.
So if you can get a more rigid pole
and back up
and get further back, and you can afford to, you know, to get that motion, and then you're going to save your neck a bit.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to 2 stories. So now we're at 2 stories, 25-foot pole, up there, you know, 28 feet. and I want to rinse that. So I'll now bring this off, and I've done the agitation, so now I'm going to do this movement here and get that rinse to happen like that. So I'm counterbalancing it. I can feel it in here.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You're
I
using
can feel it in here.
a lot of core muscle there and the shoulders and so on. That looks stressful as a
slowly.
repetitive.
Some guys do this. They just kind of rinse it off like that,
Yeah, okay.
and get it off like that.
Right, right.
You know, and you understand why. But I'll show you what happens when you do that. You watch. We're turning this arm, and it's already up and out. Like it immediately hurts.
Yeah.
Like when I go like that, and then run it down like that, and then I come across like this, and I run it down like that. That one doesn't hurt, but this one hurts.
You're using your wrist a lot there, and the grip on the type of grip you're using is really stressful on the lower hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that one.
Yeah, and that's really tough on the wrist. You're really flexing the wrist. You're going to get carpal tunnel. You keep doing that, you're going to get carpal tunnel problem here.
As you can see it.
Yeah, this is not good. You have to stay neutral.
Right.
Right. Well, that just that you've identified some discomfort, speaks volumes.
Right.
Yeah.
So what should I do if I identify discomfort?
You need to change. You need to change what you're doing.
Find the least.
Change hands. Find the least uncomfortable position. You have to continue working. You know, so
we've got to get the job done.
You can't stop. But change hands. Try different positions. Try different. There's no different grips. I mean, it's a linear pole. There's nothing you can do about the grip.
Yeah.
Just change up if you can.
And then for the other. Yep. So again, if I can handle coming out, I'm going to rinse off the glass. The more rigid the pole is, the further back I can get.
Right.
The further back I get, the less
stress on your neck.
Stress on the neck.
You have to look up so much.
Right.
Yeah. At least you're more square to the window. You're more square to the direction of work.
Right. So if the pole's light, I can leverage back, save my neck.
Right. Right.
Pull it back at myself.
Yeah.
And then it's just handling this here.
Yeah. Well, you do what you have to do. You keep things centered. That's the best thing you can do. It's all you can do.
Now, if I have to rinse over here.
Okay, this position is very stressful on the shoulder, the lower back, probably his abdomen is working right now.
Yeah.
I think the knees are okay, but especially that upper shoulder, that there's tremendous stress on that. He's got the pole locked into his thigh, so that helps his lower hand to control it. But that's going to hurt the lower back and the shoulder.
Yeah, when I got to pull it back, you just feel that go rock hard.
Right, right.
So if I have to rinse off center and off the glass, then you can see I've got to, counterbalance and sort of bring it back. So I feel that one's going to work a lot.
Exactly, and you're with this rigid light pole, at least that's the lesser of two evils, I guess. But that's a very awkward position.
Yeah.
Very awkward for the shoulder.
But it's either that or climb a ladder and get on a roof and
or rappel down the face. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so that's working with a water-fed pole. So how would you summarize it? You've seen all the things that I have to do to clean a window.
The lesson I've learned is window washers are tough if they use this type of tool for any length of time. This tool pulls your body out of all the natural mechanics of the body by moving all of your power movements to the midline, and that's just not how the body works.
What's the midline? How would you describe that?
The midline is the middle of the body, and if you're using a linear pole, you necessarily have to line your hands up to manipulate the pole. The body just doesn't work best this way. The body should be more square to the motion of the power movement. So, like for instance, a boxer will have his fist in this position, not in this position. Boxers don't fight like
so
this.
There goes your linear.
Yeah, that's linear. A boxer has their hands more apart. Their legs, their feet are more toward the motion of toward the direction of movement.
Whereas my feet are always
always sideways. You're always pulling your arms toward the inside of your body. Plus, the type of grip on this linear object, this round linear object, for the wrists and the hands, pulls it right out of its normal neutral position, which is this, and it starts placing the wrist in hyperflexion, hyperextension. And which is going to cause problems at the wrist. It will also cause problems at the elbow. That's the definition of tennis elbow, is overuse of the extensor of the wrist. So I imagine a lot of you guys have some problems in the elbows from this. And then, of course, anytime you're moving toward the midline with the arms, that's your rotator cuff pulling the shoulders in. And you're using your power movements, you're using the rotator cuff muscles for power movements, which they're not designed for. They're small muscles with small slips of insertion, and you'll eventually have a repetitive motion injury of the rotator cuff. There's a lot of things about this movement, about this work operation movement that is just not ergonomically sensible.
Right, but the alternative is climbing a ladder. So let's talk about that really briefly. I mean, like,
I'm an emergency room physician. I have a great antipathy toward ladder use. I have seen
emergency room physician means that when somebody has an accident of any kind, you're the guy.
I'm the guy that you come to for me to stabilize you.
So you've seen blood and guts and
bones
sticking
I'll tell
out
you. Oh yeah,
all that stuff
all the time, and ladder injuries are a part of that.
Right.
So you have a ladder injury is either a disastrous thing where where you break your limbs or your neck, or it's a repetitive injury thing, just climbing the damn thing.
Why is that? Why does that happen?
Talk about abnormal body mechanics.
Which we are.
Climb a ladder.
Right.
You can't climb. Again, you want to be square with whatever power movement you're using. You can't climb a ladder like this. Your knees hit the rungs.
Right.
So you wind up climbing the ladder kind of cattywampus sideways, and very awkward, very bad on the knees. It's very awkward. It's a very unstable way to operate off a ladder.
Even though the guys that do it are like monkeys, they can just zip up and down, but
some are, some aren't.
Yeah, but all the time. I've seen some guys out in the Midwest who are.
If you use ladders, there's quite a chance that you're not going to get the base stable. You're in a hurry. You don't break it down when you move it over.
Right. Which is another one, isn't it? The actual moving of the ladder is another risk, because the guy doesn't want to break it down, so he picks it up and he goes through all of this, like we're talking about.
Hop it over. I've seen him take a two-story ladder and hop it over. And kind of lean it back, and hopefully it doesn't keep going back. And they try to hop it over to save time. That's very dangerous. Very dangerous, and even overhead power lines. Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. So ladders are kind of an awkward, dangerous.
They're a worse.
I think worse.
So, yes. Some people say to me, "Why am I exposing the risks of using a waterfed pole when I manufacture waterfed poles?" And the answer is because it's safer than a ladder.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
The question is, can we make it more safe? Like, we shouldn't go, "Oh, it's safer than a ladder, therefore it's okay." If it's potentially injurious, then we have a responsibility to try and solve that, which is what you and I are working together on. Yeah,
that's right. You want to lessen the impact that a linear device like this has through its operating motion. If you can get the body through each power stroke with a more neutral alignment of the limbs and the trunk, then you'll go a long way to preventing injury and also maybe healing existing problems.
Or being able to tolerate.
A
pre-existing injury and all that sort of thing. So that's what we're working on. And the other thing is I wanted to cover, like we've not talked before, but privately we have about this thing about ladders, is that people talk about risk and risk assessment, and that's part of OSHA, isn't it?
Yes.
Is assessing the risk.
Of course.
a lot of people think that the meaning of risk is chance, but it's not. Like the chance of me falling off a ladder is so remote. I've been climbing ladders for 20 years, it never happened. But it's actually chance times consequence. The risk equals chance times consequence. The consequence of falling off a ladder, and you're the ER room doctor, right?
Right, and it can be disastrous. I mean, even in a 1-story or a 10-foot fall,
right,
is certainly capable of killing you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I've seen broken necks. I've seen fractured arms. I've seen concussions, comas from people falling off ladders.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So the risk is, it's not the risk is what kind of chance are you taking. The risk is what is the consequence
of that particular chance.
If you of that particular chance.
Yeah, exactly. And ladders, I hate ladders.
So again, we're talking about the lesser of the two evils in order to clean windows as a water-fed pole, and then can we make them even lesser than they are right now?
Right. It decrease the impact on the joints. That's what you want to do.
Right. So let's see if we can do that, huh?
Yes, let's do it.